Hi there. So some of you may know, some of you may not. While I am not making YouTube videos, while I'm not swimming, while I'm not 3D printing, those are my three main hobbies really, I have a couple jobs which keep a little bit of money coming in so I can keep, buying equipment for YouTube and all sorts of different things. And quite a few people have requested for me to make a video explaining how I have got these jobs. So I've put it into three main categories. The first one will probably be the easiest for you to obtain a job. The second takes a bit more work. And the third may not be very much achievable for a teenager under the age of 16 that easily. So the first main way that you can get an income coming in while you're still a teenager under the age of 16, you still have to be older than 13, is a paper round. Now, to get one of these, you'll have to find what your local paper is. You may have this delivered each week, so it will be quite easy to find it. And there may be in the paper little adverts asking for deliverers. And there should be an email with that. If you aren't delivered a paper yourself, but you know that there are papers out there in your local area, then just have a quick Google and look for what their email is, and I'm sure that they'll be happy to help. And you may be lucky, they may give you a paper round straight away, but you may be put onto a waiting list for a few months maybe, and then they'll be happy to help when they need someone for the job. This job is a lot easier than probably any of the others. You only have to give up a couple of hours a week. For me, it's a Wednesday evening job. I usually start maybe 3:30 and I'm finished by about 5. So it's a nice little walk, keeps me fit, and it gets a bit of money. For this job, you don't have to put any pennies in at all. You're supplied with all the equipment, whether that be a trolley or just a normal delivery bag, and you're on your way within a few weeks. If any of you need help finding your local paper, if you drop your area in the comments, I'm sure I'll be able to help with finding you the company to email. So the second main way that I've been able to get jobs is by delivering leaflets. This is done in exactly the same way as papers, but obtaining the job is slightly different. So the way I've been able to get these jobs is by phoning up multiple different fast food places, estate agents, anywhere that you may get junk mail from really. You're going to want to call up the company and ask if they have any leaflets they need delivering. You're going to get a lot of people say no. And that's fine. It helps to have a no every now and then, and it helps you build your confidence, and it's great to know who wants them done and who doesn't. But in an array of no's, there will always be a yes. And sometimes for me, that's been the first time I've called a company. It's sometimes been the 20th. But if you keep calling and you keep finding companies that may want leaflets done, I'm sure there'll be one out there that wants you. And if you find this company, I have gone to the manager. They've usually told me to go and meet them down at the shop, and they've talked to me about where they want them done. It's usually just all the way around the local area, maybe 2-3 miles. And then we've agreed on a rate. I usually do about £50 per 1,000, so that works out at 5p per leaflet. And it's quite good value because it usually takes me, say, 2.5 hours to do 500, so that would be £25 for 2.5 hours. That works out £10 an hour, and that's quite a good rate. This would fit better around your own schedule, whereas paper rounds may need quite strict deadlines, so maybe they don't have to be done on certain days. But with leaflets, you can agree what's best for you and for the manager of the company that you're delivering for. But with this, you won't be supplied with the equipment, or it would be quite unlikely for you to be supplied with any equipment because the companies will not be equipped with any sort of bags or trolleys. But you can always get sort of an over-the-shoulder, maybe bag that you had for school or something like that, and that would work perfectly fine. Now, the third and final way that I have been able to get a job is a front of house work, or a cashier, however you want to phrase it. But this is quite unusual and quite rare to be able to get under the age of 16. The way you can do this, if you're wanting to give it a go, it may not always work because a lot of companies are worried about under 16-year-olds. They are allowed to employ them, but there are a lot of strict rules. They're only allowed to do a certain amount of hours. But what you're wanting to go and do is make a CV. Now on here, you're going to want to include any voluntary work you've done, whether that be you've worked in a charity shop for a few months, or you've worked with kids, anything really that's going to sell you as a person and make you sound really employable. You're also going to want to include any awards you've achieved that are relevant. So even anything at school really, that if you've had a postcard home for good behaviour or hard working, they're always wanting to hear about that, because it just shows that you're a hard working and a good person to be around really. You also want to put on any skills you have. So if you're good with technology, they're always going to love that, because the way the world's moving at the moment, everything's going to be, all orders and stuff are going to be taken over some kind of technology, whether that be on a screen or iPads, whatever that be. And if you're good with technology, they're not going to need to spend too much time teaching you, so you should be able to pick it up quite quickly. But any other skills you may have, like you got good communication, that's always amazing too. So your CV itself would be about 2 pages long, and you can find multiple templates online, and you can choose whichever looks best for you. Even just if you go on Microsoft Word, there is a CV template on there, which is what I used. And if you'd like me to make a separate video on how to make a CV, if that would help you, I can always do that. Drop us a comment if you need some help with that. But once you've got your CV, you're going to want to email it or hand it in to any businesses that you may want to work at, whether that be small restaurants. I would always stray away from any big chains, so anything like Subway, McDonald's, Greggs, anything like that. Are not going to want to employ anyone under the age of 16. If you're over the age of 16 though, they may be a good option for you. But if you have a family-owned business in your area, such as maybe a little Italian restaurant, say, or a Chinese takeaway, which I've worked at, then always go and have a look. If you get a no, then it's not cost you anything, but it's always worth going and asking. And if they are interested in employing you, then they'll probably call you in for some kind of interview. And then if they like your personality, they'll bring you in for some kind of trial shift or some kind of training, so you can learn the ropes and you're ready to work. With this kind of job, the hours may be long, so be careful and don't get pulled in and working too much. Make sure that your employer knows you have other commitments, such as school, and that you don't want to be exhausted. So only work what you can. But you should be able to choose your hours to some extent, so this is quite a versatile job. So saying all this, you may have come up with some sort of job that you may want to go for, whether that be the paper round, the leaflets, or even going to work in some kind of shop. But here's a few tips for any of these that I would like to share with you, which I've obviously come across in my time of working. So number one, try not to get too many. If you get 5 jobs within the space of a week and you've not worked ever before, that is going to exhaust you. You're not going to be able to comprehend this change, and you want to start slowly. That's why I first got a monthly paper round. This was really good for me to slowly and smoothly move into working. I then went on to a weekly paper round, and then on to doing some leaflets during the holidays, so that was a couple of days a week. And then the same company I was doing leaflets for offered me a job doing the front of house work. You also want to be really careful and see what your parents think, because if you're under the age of 16, it's obviously not just your choice, it's going to be your parents as well. And if they're not comfortable with you working past a certain time in a certain place, then you're going to have to respect that decision, and of course you're going to have to change your pathway. But I'm sure most parents will be okay with you getting some kind of paper round or leaflet round, because it's not too hard on you and it's not going to have to affect them too much. I hope this has helped anyone that's looking for a summer job maybe, or something to get a little bit of money while you're still young, and I hope it was beneficial. I made this video because when I was looking for a job, all I could really find was videos of people that had set up sort of car washes and lawnmower businesses at the age of maybe 14 during the holidays. And that's not really a viable option, because quite frankly, not everyone has a lawnmower and not everyone is going to be wanting to do car washes. Their parents aren't going to be wanting them to do that. So I thought I'd make this video to show you how I've got the job. It doesn't work every time. I understand that quite fully. But I'm hoping that you all can get some kind of job. So thank you for watching. Bye-bye.